I mean, I wouldn't say that. I would just say it's better. It's just a better.
Crafted.
It's just a better crafted narrative. Because the character actually starts out weak and then he becomes stronger as time goes on. Whereas in the Disney Star Wars films, basically Rey starts out
At the top
strong.
already.
She's not at the top, but she starts out strong and she just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. She never gets any weaker throughout the series. She has no real journey to become more powerful.
Huh.
And you can have characters like that in media. Like Superman is like that. Superman has always been pretty powerful, but like you have to write good stories around his struggle to stay human. And there's ways that he's still grown as a character. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's have everyone introduce themselves, and then I'll give the overall topics that we'll be covering, and then we'll wrap things up. So, ladies first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. This is Joy Eli Moonstar welcoming you to the BS Busters for the first time of May. May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, it's
Um,
belated. So today is Cinco de Mayo. So, um, you know,
yeah,
it's basically Mexican Independence Day, but not really. But it's an excuse to drink Coronas. So
and hopefully you drink responsibly.
the beer. Well, if you're at home and you're not going anywhere, then it's nice. Kanoshi, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Kanashi Bamanito, and that's it.
And don't forget our owner and proprietor of the BS Busters himself, Mr. Red Fox.
That's right, owner proprietor BS Busters. So let's get to it. So we're going to be covering some really cool stuff today. Um, Mostly, initially, Star Wars stuff because yesterday was May the 4th. And then we'll segue into some news stories and video gaming that I thought would be interesting. But I guess we can start with Star Wars stuff. So a wave of Star Wars information came out. I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm just going to talk about some stuff that I thought was interesting. Interesting.
Hopefully, not another game from EA.
Well, I mean, like to be honest with you, not all the Star Wars games from EA were shit. Uh, like I said, Fallen Order was pretty good. Um, and people seem to really believe it or not, the Old Republic, if you can get over how generic, how much of it was, how much the combat was essentially just a World of Warcraft clone, wasn't that bad. um but I mean, like, if you could get over the combat being a World of Warcraft clone, it literally was the best. It was the MMO that had the best story writing of an MMO, because typically speaking, MMO story is trash. Um,
Usually, people play them for the social interactivity.
well, yeah, for the clans and stuff like that. But the Old Republic actually had a really good story. The problem with the Old Republic is, um, it was the combat and the system underneath everything was a World of Warcraft clone. So, like, all of the various nuance that you had in character builds in the Old Republic 1 and the Old Republic 2, or sorry, KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2, missing in the Old Republic. It's just an MMO. Like if you play as a Jedi Guardian or a Jedi Sentinel, you're basically, you have no healing ability. Which, if you played, KOTOR 1 or KOTOR 2, you knew that as a Jedi you could take healing ability and heal people. So it was basically like the game was dummied down to make it an MMO. In terms of the combat, the story was just as good as it was in KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2. Those games have pretty good story, though. I think KOTOR 2 is better on a mechanical level, especially now that a lot of the shit that Obsidian had to drop in order to get it out in under a year. Because people forget that KOTOR 1, like, BioWare had like 6-7 years to make that game, whereas Obsidian was given a year to make KOTOR 2.
Which is
So,
still something impressive.
yeah, so people are like, yeah, this game's not as good as the first one. Well, shit, if you only had a year to make something to make a sequel to a game that had 5, 6, 7 years to make. Yeah, it's not going to be, you know, everything.
Polished.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't get mad at people for not having everything be perfect, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't really.
As long as it's not, as long as it's not doing stuff that you would see in a trashy indie game, as in breaking every 3 seconds. I think we could work with that.
Well, it wasn't that bad. It was just like, man, this could have been so much better. The big thing to come out of May the 4th was a lot of Star Wars information, like the Bad Batch, which is basically about a group of clone troopers who
Clones.
go rogue. Well, they're defective clones. They're not perfect clones, and they're all each of them is defective and has a little special ability. And they basically, after Order 66 and the rebellion, they're like, man, fuck this shit, and they leave. So I like the fact that they're finally taking, because they had the Bad Batch in Clone Wars. So it's good that they're getting their own story. Because, I mean, just statistically, there had to be some people after the events of the Civil War who were like, yeah, this Palpatine, this Palpatine guy is full of shit. This is some bullshit. These people are space Nazis. And we shouldn't trust any of them. So there had to be, there has to be some level of, okay, this is some bullshit, and people need to stand up against it. It's like, even if you look at world history, there were people who were against Hitler and the Nazi Party in Germany during their rise to power. So, people need to understand that. Pardon me.
Heh.
So continue talking about Star Wars.
Okay. At least by what?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take it out, Mom. Look, I'm on the podcast. You need something? Okay. I don't need this shit.
On that.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Anyway, so back to Star Wars. So, do you guys have any good Star Wars games you remember playing? Like actually good Star Wars games?
The only Star Wars game I remember playing way back would be the N64 fighting game, and I'll say this, that it makes me wonder how some people work with fighting games on certain consoles if they're in the style of like Soul
Well,
Calibur.
there was a 5th gen fighting game, but it wasn't on the N64. It was, if I remember correctly, Star Wars Masters of Terra's Kasai, and it was trash. It was on the PlayStation. It was terrible. People did not like that game.
Thank you for clearing my memory a bit.
I mean, there were some good games. There were some good games on the system. There was especially on the N64, you had pod racing, which, I mean, a lot of people like that game. I personally never liked pod racing. Star Wars Pod Racer.
I was gonna say pod racing, if I remember right, it wasn't bad, but it could have really used a lot of polish.
Well, I mean, even then, I mean, the game was fine for what it was. It's just for me personally, I always preferred Star Wars. I preferred Star Wars games that let you pilot like ships. So, Rogue Squadron, Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Squadron 3, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, X-Wing, stuff like that. Jedi Starfighter. I like stuff like that. So, like, having a game where I just go around racing these shitty vehicles is not, to me, that's just not that's not fun to me. So,
Yeah, I could get you. I always say that considering the considering the racing was a different thing, it actually sparked some curiosity.
yeah, I
I
mean,
didn't say it was good.
the reason I wasn't into it also was just because that pod racing scene was too goddamn long in Phantom Menace. I mean, it was well shot, but it was just, it went on. It was like, I think the pod racing scene in Phantom Menace was like, it's like 9 minutes, and no race should be 9 minutes long unless it's really, really, really well shot. And while graphically the pod racing scene is shot very well, um, like the racing, like I've watched movies that have really great car chases in them that could be 9 minutes long, and I'd say this is really well shot. Like Bullet has one of the best car races with practical special effects, real cars, in Hollywood history. But I mean, George Lucas is not that good of a director. You know what I'm saying? He's technically proficient in storytelling and setting stuff up and
But he
visual
needs help
storytelling.
with making it happen.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, this is nice, but it's not. This is not 9 minutes nice. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So that's where I'm kind of like, okay, this is too goddamn long. And I was like, I don't want to play a game centered around just pod racing. Like, that just doesn't really. To be honest with you, even Shadows of the Empire wasn't that good either.
Youch.
No, Shadows of the Empire was clunky. It had a lot of good ideas, but the controls were so bad in Star Wars Shadows of the Empire that I just,
And we're not talking about so bad turns good again. We're
no,
just
they were
talking
just bad. Like,
bad.
everything was bad. The vehicle controls were bad. The on foot controls were bad. Um, the only cool thing about Shadows of the Empire was the snow speeder levels where you're basically taking down AT-ATs. As a matter of fact, Shadows of the Empire, the AT-AT snow speeder levels where you're taking down those things, those tanks with the tow cables and shit. That was the inspiration for Level 5 making Rogue Squadron. But Rogue Squadron, in every way, shape, or form, is so much better of a game than than Shadows of the Empire. The only good thing about Shadows of the Empire is that it it was made to tie in with the novel and the toys, because George Lucas was like, yeah, I need to make some more money off of Star Wars, so I'll tie it into Shadows of the Empire, and we'll have Prince Shizor. The only good thing about Shadows of the Empire is if you read the comic, it shows how Prince Shizor had to tried to have, like, he tried to capture Luke by enthralling Princess Leia. Or I shouldn't say princess, because by that point Alderaan was blown the fuck up, so she wasn't a princess of anything anymore. He tried to enthrall Leia because Shizor's species could create these pheromones for members of the opposite sex that would enthrall them, and basically enthralled Leia and tried to use her to trap Luke. Didn't work. And then because Shizor's big thing was he wanted to be the right hand man of the Emperor. Well, you know, we all know who's the bottom bitch in that equation.
Oh yeah.
Between the Emperor, like, the Emperor already has a bottom bitch, and it's Darth Vader. So Darth Vader wasn't happy about that, but then he tried to have Luke killed, and, like, you know, Shadows of the Empire takes place between, like, it runs parallel partially with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So, like, basically, like, the only cool thing about Shadows of the Empire is you have this fight where Darth Vader fucks up Prince Xizor for trying to kill his son. It's like, if anyone's gonna kill my son, it's gonna be me. So, that was kind of cool. But, yeah, Shadows of the Empire was... The game was, like, kind of meh at best. It took a while, like... During the 4th gen, we had good Star Wars games. Like, you had Star Wars, the arcade game on the Genesis that was basically, like, almost a perfect port of the arcade games, the vehicle-based arcade games. Then you had the Super Star Wars games, which are pretty good on the SNES. And then you had the 5th gen, which, I mean, the quality started to dip a little bit because we had shit like Masters of Terras Kasai. But on PC, you had good stuff like Star Wars. What's it called? Star Wars. You had Star Wars Dark Forces, which gave us Kyle Katarn and the Jedi Knight series. You know, Knights of the Old Republic, shit like that. That was all good. That was all good shit back in the day. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, the Star Wars games now are, you know, we didn't start to get consistently good Star Wars games until the 6th gen, where you were getting like the Lego Star Wars games and.
Not sure if Lego Star Wars should be an automatic good, as in, well, if Lego Star Wars is good, then we got a good Star Wars game, because usually Lego is able to do good with most series that they get in touch with.
Not true, because the Lego Harry Potter games are trash.
I said most of the stuff that they usually get their hands on is good.
The Lego Indiana Jones games were kind of hit and miss, because they made the Lego Star Wars games are consistently, if not good, you know, functional. You know, I mean, even though the first Lego game that came out wasn't the original series, it was the one based on the prequel trilogy, and I didn't get that one because I was like, I don't like the prequel trilogy. I got the the one that was based on the original trilogy, and I liked that one because, you know, and I even got the one that had the prequel and the original trilogy combined together, because basically when I unlocked Darth Vader, I would go around I would find Jar Jar Binks in the cantina and murder the shit out. I'd force choke him to death. Like, fuck you, Jar Jar. Or find Emperor Palpatine and just force lightning the shit out of Jar Jar Binks, because I hate that character. With his evil laugh that he does in that game. You know, it's kind of funny.
That's a little bit dark than I thought.
Well, I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, like, I dare any old school Star Wars fan who grew up with the original trilogy to tell me that Jar Jar Binks is good.
He's a lot better than the trash that we got in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, but the sequel trilogy isn't Star Wars. It's fan fiction that got the Star Wars stamp of approval. It's Star Wars fan fiction.
And I always get a look from people when I say that Jar Jar Binks is a lot better than what we got in the sequel trilogy.
It's sad but true. You know, but George Lucas is like, yeah, Jar Jar, he's the key to everything. I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you really want to do this? Because Jar Jar Binks is terrible. Anyway, but yeah, I recently started playing Jedi Fallen Order. It's really good. You know, and I was one of the people like, I don't think it's going to be that good, but I've been playing it. I got it on sale last week. It was on sale, and I got it for like, normally it retails for like $39.99 or $44.
You got it for about $15.
Yeah, I got it for about $15. So $15 for a game like that, I can't get mad. And it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's better
better than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is better. Like I said, it's not perfect. I would say that the main character is kind of generic as fuck.
Yeah.
Like my problem with Fallen Order is the same problem I had before I started playing it. The main character is generic as fuck, and I mean, you have this galaxy full of amazing species, and you still go with someone who looks like a normal human being. And I'm like, you have all of these alien species. Why can't we play as a Silurian or a fucking Wookiee or a Rhodian or, you know, like it's one of those fucking Twi'leks or whatever Kit Fisto's species is. Like, why is it always just human beings running around? It's annoying. Because I mean, if you watch the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars, it was like the Genndy Tartakovsky miniseries, Clone Wars miniseries. Basically, you see it from different people's points of view. And yeah, there's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin in there, but you also have Kit Fisto and Ki-Adi-Mundi. You know, there's other characters in there aside from just, it's just human beings. I'm like, you have this massive galaxy. Why do you keep on reverting to familiar tropes? Because if you're a fan of Star Wars, you're aware of the familiar tropes. You want different shit, but done in a smart and interesting way. And, you know, just keep on fucking up. Anyway,
yeah, and I think those little shorts are better than the actual movies.
yeah.
Or at least it was, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. There are, like, even though the prequel trilogy overall is just mediocre at best, there are parts of the prequel trilogy that are actually really good. Like, in Phantom Menace, I have to say the practical special effects in Phantom Menace are pretty good. And even though, like, long stretches of Phantom Menace are boring, like, in terms of dialogue and shit like that, the lightsaber duels are great. Like, literally, how could some shit that came out in 1998 have better lightsaber duels than shit that came out just 5-6 years ago? That's embarrassing. But that just shows that that J.J. Abrams can't shoot action to save his fucking life. But yeah, the lightsaber duels in the prequel trilogy are all awesome. Finally getting to see Yoda fight, fucking, because they built it up in Phantom Menace. Like Qui-Gon Jinn's trying to Jedi mind trick Watu. He's like, "Hey, you'll give us this for these many credits." He's like, "No, you won't. Stop waving your hand around. Who you think you are, Yoda?" You know, it's like everyone's like, you got a lightsaber. Who do you think you are, Yoda? And it's like, well, I mean, what's that little old man gonna do? And then you watch Attack of the Clones, and you're like, oh shit, I wouldn't want to fight Yoda. I would definitely not want to fight Yoda. And you had some great lightsaber duels in Revenge of the Sith. You know, and I mean, the thing is, okay, look, Phantom Menace is kind of aimless. You don't know where everything's going. You don't figure out what's going on in Phantom Menace until the very end, where you find out that the guy that Maul was reporting to is Chancellor Palpatine. Like, when they say Chancellor Palpatine, you're like, oh, I get what's going on here. This is all a prequel to set up the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire. This is what this is. And then the second movie, where you find out that the Geonosians are the ones who had the schematics to make the Death Star. Like, it makes, like, it's like you see what they're building up to, and at the very end you see the clone troopers walking onto Star Destroyers. Like, okay, I see what's going on here. This is all a master plan for the fall of the Republic. So, like, once you get to what George Lucas is trying to do, it makes sense that the prequel justifies itself. But the sequel trilogy, I'm like, this is just some shit. This is not very good. But we're not here to talk about how terrible the sequel trilogy is. We're here to talk about the good
That
Star
comes
Wars games we
later.
played.
Oh.
No, we're here to talk about the good Star Wars games. So, what are some good Star Wars games you guys still play, or kind of play now?
The only one I remember would be Super Star Wars.
Super Star Wars for the SNES.
Mm-hmm.
That entire trilogy was good, though. Like Super Star Wars was good. Super Empire Strikes Back was hard as nails, but still pretty good. Super Return of the Jedi was good too. All the Super games were good. Even though they took a lot of creative license, like, hey, remember when Luke fought a giant mutant walk rat in Return in A New Hope? Yeah, me neither. But this shit sure is fun. Remember when he raided the sand crawler, the Jawa's sand crawler, and fought a lava monster in the depths of the sand crawler to get back R2D2 and C3PO? Me neither. But this shit sure is fun. Hey, remember when you fought your way to the cantina and fought some big long-headed alien? And A New Hope? Me neither, but the shit sure is fun. Like Super Star Wars took a lot of creative license with the movies, but it was fun, and that's all that mattered.
Excuse our love for the cheese.
Yeah, you just kind of ran with it, I mean, you had the same thing going on in Return of the Jedi. Hey, remember when Chewbacca basically pulled out his bowcaster and blew everything away and destroyed Jabba the Hutt's doorkeeper robot and blew it away with his bowcaster and busted his way into Jabba the Hutt's palace? Nah, that shit never happened, but guess what? You can do it in this game!
Which is impressive.
Yeah, it's like, well, shit, if you could have done that, why all the subterfuge? Shit. Why did you do that in the movie? And Leia in her slave outfit. Which, here's an aftermarket tip for anyone playing Super Return of the Jedi. Once you get to Jabba's barge, either play as Luke Skywalker or Chewbacca. Leia sucks in her slave outfit. She's terrible. Trash.
She's that terrible? Ouch.
Well, because her range sucks. Like, okay, if you're playing as Luke in Return of the Jedi with his lightsaber, he can deflect blasts. Leia in her slave outfit has shittier range than Luke, and she can't deflect anything. Like, she has no bonuses aside from being in a skimpy outfit. I mean, at least with Chewbacca, he's got his bowcaster, which gives him range, and he's got his special attack, his spin attack, that can do lots of damage. Luke can deflect attacks and shit with his lightsaber, which is cool. Leia has no bonuses in that form. Or you can play as Han Solo, which is always fun.
Ouch.
Blind-ass Han Solo. The carbonite's wearing off. I can barely see. I can't see. Why? Lando Calrissian. Anyway, the Super Star Wars games are all awesome. The Lego Star Wars games. I did not get the Lego Star Wars game that was based on The Force Awakens because I fucking hated that movie, and I was like, I refuse to play a Lego game based on that movie.
Dang.
I mean, I kind of held my nose and played through the re-release of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy combined. Like, I got through the prequel trilogy games and the Lego games because I was like, I got to do this so I can unlock all the characters. Because I 100%ed all those games. Because I roll like that, son. But I wasn't happy with it. Let me put it that way. Because really, I like the original trilogy better. Just because, it's just, you know, it's just the original trilogy is relatively well balanced gameplay wise. You have some good flight levels. You have some good characters. And once you unlock Darth Vader, it's hilarious. Just force choking motherfuckers to death. You failed me for the last time. You pulled your ships out of hyperspace too quickly. You failed me for the last time. Dude,
Star Wars game I played.
No, go ahead, Kadoshi.
So the Star Wars game I remember playing, it was on the PlayStation. I think it was also on the N64. It was like a beat 'em up game. I mean,
Masters of Terras Kasai. It was not on the N64. It was on the PlayStation, and only on the Play. I mean, it may have been on PC too, but it was not on the N64.
It was. Yeah, I remember because that's why I was at the end of the third movie of the end of the Forbidden Trilogy. That's what I'm gonna call it now. The Forbidden Trilogy. Rey has a yellow lightsaber, and there was a character in that game that had a yellow lightsaber.
Yeah.
It was like, that's.
Well, before Disney bought Star Wars and fucked up all the lore, the different colors of lightsabers determined what type of Force user and Jedi you were. Yeah. So like blue was the Jedi Guardian, yellow was like the Jedi Sentinel, green was the Jedi Counselor. And they all had little special benefits and shit.
And there was a character in that game, Jedi, that actually had a red lightsaber, which I thought was weird. But
the colors weren't exclusive back in the day. Now they fucked up all the lore, so it's whatever it is. But back in the day, it's tendencies. Like if you're like, because here's the thing, like whatever focusing crystal you use, like it's just Sith tend to use red because, you know, they tend to use red because it's a power color. And plus, let's keep it real.
So a Jedi could have a red lightsaber?
They could.
At least.
Before they fucked up the lore. They could.
Oh.
So, yeah. They could. They could, in fact.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I said, the Force isn't about, like, what you wear. Because, I mean, like, okay, Sith like to wear black, but at the end, in Return of the Jedi, all Luke is wearing is black, and yet he's not a Sith Lord. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, and hell, at the end, Darth Vader turns back from the dark side and defeats the Emperor, and he's wearing all black, so he gets to go to Jedi heaven at the end, which I thought was kind of cheap. Like, I'm like, you know, I know this is about a redemptive arc, but this dude killed children and attacked and force choked a pregnant woman. I mean, that's kind of fucked up. Like, I don't think you deserve redemption for some shit like that. I'm sorry, but that's just me. That's my own personal opinion. But anyway, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, I have to.
That game was, I mean, pretty fun. You know, I have a memory where I was playing it with a friend. You know, I mean, it was just a simple Star Wars beat 'em up game.
Yeah. And my problem with Masters of Terras Kasai was that it was just like, okay, if you're gonna make a Star Wars fighting game, that's cool. But if you're gonna make a Star Wars fighting game, make a good Star Wars fighting game. Don't just make a shitty fighting game and then throw Star Wars on top of it. Like, I think they would have done better contracting out the IP to, like, Namco Bandai and just using the Soul Calibur engine, except, you know, Star Wars. Which they could still do that. Because I would play that. I would play, if you took Soul Calibur, like the engine for Soul Calibur,
and blend it into Star Wars.
and just made a Star Wars game. Like, you could even kind of steal something from Weapon Master mode. You could choose a character. You could create your own character. You would start out as a Padawan or an apprentice, a Sith apprentice, and go like all the way up to being a master. And then you could make choices that would determine your character's alignment. And by the end, you would wind up fighting somebody, and it would be awesome. No, we can't do that. Just some lazy ass shit, which is what they've been doing. So, you know. But anyway, the best Star Wars game that I've played, I mean, it's a tie between KOTOR 2 and Rogue Squadron. I do like and Rogue Squadron 2. Because Rogue Squadron 2 was damn near was a launch game for the GameCube, and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
May be one of the best games ever made. One of the best Star Wars games ever made, because it wasn't as flight simmy as the PC Star Wars flying games, so you could get into it relatively easy, but it wasn't as and yet it had enough simulation shit in it that you actually, like, each of the ships felt different, and they had their uses. Like a B-wing actually was somewhat useful. A Y-wing was actually good for bombing runs. So it's like, oh man, I'm on a mission where I gotta blow some shit the fuck up. Well, I need a Y-wing. You know, I'm on a mission where I need to complete it really quickly. I need an A-wing, even though A-wings are just way too damn fast to be useful for most combat situations. And they have shitty shields. So anyway, yeah, it was great. And the cheat codes were awesome. But anyway, yeah. Level 5 made some really good Star Wars games. It's a shame that Level 5 kind of went under. Oh well. Anything else you guys want to say about Star Wars before we move on to the news topics?
Hopefully we'll get better Star Wars. Can we at least agree there?
I've never read the extended universe, but from the bits and pieces I hear, it's far more interesting than the cinematic stuff.
It is.
I wish they would make movies out of it.
Well, they did. The Rise of Skywalker was a poorly adapted version of the Dark Empire trilogy, but it was just really poorly executed. Like the problem.
What are the names of the 7, 8, and 9 book trilogy that the movies were barely based off of?
No, well, the movies aren't really based off of that. Just like the first two really aren't. The third movie is based off of an entire trilogy that had bits and pieces of it ripped out and then put into a script that was then torn apart in order to make that movie. But really, I mean, if you want to look at it directly, The Force Awakens is A New Hope, but done shoddily. And, you know, that second movie is Empire Strikes Back, but done poorly. It's just shit done poorly. That's what it is. That third one is just the Dark Empire trilogy mashed. Like, it's like Solo. Solo is literally 3 books, the Young Han Solo trilogy, mashed together and a lot of shit cut out. Because if you're going to do the Young Han Solo trilogy, that should be a fucking TV show. Okay? because it's just it has a very serialized nature to it, and each season would have been one book, and you do each episode is like maybe each season would be like maybe 6, 7, maybe even 8 episodes, 45, 50 minutes long. You could tell that story because then you'd have enough material and enough episodes to really get into it. But instead, they wanted to just do everything in a movie, and like you can't tell the Han Solo story in just a movie. It just doesn't work. Especially the young Han Solo trilogy. But, you know, Kathleen Kennedy fucking up everything she touches since she took over the Star Wars brand. Just, you know, oh, how could I fuck this up? Which is sad because, you know, she is the executive producer for a lot of good films that I actually like, but man, she fucked up Star Wars. But that's neither here nor there.
Apparently, she didn't really like Star Wars that much. So it's just kind of like, why'd you put her on this project?
Well, because she lied to George Lucas and said that what he wanted to hear. He said, "Will you protect my legacy?" She said, "Sure, yeah." Which, I mean, anyone who's been on an interview knows you're going to say whatever the fuck your boss wants you to say in order to get that position, which is what she did. And then she promptly proceeded to pull down her pants and shit and piss all over Star Wars. But her like the idea behind it, she's like, okay, look, the fans of Star Wars are getting older, and we want to reach a newer demographic. That's not a bad idea. How she did it was by alienating the old fans and trying to go for the new fans. But the new fans are so fucking casual that they're not like new fans, like women, like the young girls that Kathleen Kennedy is reaching for, that demographic. They are not buying Star Wars shit, merchandise, toys, video games like the old fans did. So, which is why you have old Star Wars shit sitting in warehouses right now that Disney wishes a lightning bolt would come out of the sky and hit those things so they could claim the insurance money and get some money back. But, you know, that's Star Wars for you folks. Star Wars. Star Wars. But I mean, like I said, someone said, "Is there anything good that came out of the new Star Wars, the Disney reign of Star Wars?" And I can't think of anything because all of it's been pretty terrible. I mean, the they made a deal with EA to make Star Wars video games. Those and like Star Wars Battlefront 2015 and Battlefront 2 are trash, in my opinion. Like all people wanted, like the games that people wanted EA to make, they would not make. Like people had to they had to be forced into making Star Wars Squadron and Jedi Fallen Order. And when people have to force you to do things that they want, you're never gonna like doing it. And that's kind of sad, because the first thing you should have done is, okay, BioWare, we're gonna spin off a team to start working on KOTOR 3. No, we got to make Battlefront. It's like, why?
Yeah.
You keep on fucking up like that, bro.
I don't remember.
But, you know, that's Star Wars for you. Anyway, yeah. So, playing Fallen Order, liking it. The only downside, like I said, is that the main character is generic as fuck. You know, that kind of sucks. Anyway, let's get to these news stories. So we got some news stories. The first one is from Nintendo Enthusiast, and it's basically the editor trying to explain why most Switch ports aren't getting better. And I'm not going to read the entire thing, but it boils down to the Switch has a certain amount of processing power, and while that processing power was fine when you were porting games from the PS4 and the Xbox One, now that you're seeing more games that are being geared towards the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, the Switch is using tech that was top of the line, like
At the time.
no, not even at the time. That was top of the line at the 7th gen, but that's 2 gens removed from where we are now. So now it's like most studios, it's like okay, like most studios are not going to spend a huge amount of money to optimize something for the Switch, unless that's the lead platform. And when I say lead, I don't mean the technological lead where it's like, okay, like this is where we're going to make the most of our money. Yeah, they just aren't going to do that. So, I mean, the thing is that most Switch gamers who are using the Switch in handheld mode, they're willing to take that trade-off of graphical fidelity to be able to play those games on the go. So for them, it's a good thing. If you are someone who doesn't want those things, well, my advice to you is have another console or a PC. Your guys' thoughts before we move on to the next news story in our list?
That's the funny thing. I already know that the Switch is not hyper powerful, but I know that it has its limits, and if people are not willing to adjust to the limits, it's kind of a double-edged blade on me.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what I'm saying. It's like if you only own a Switch and you don't own a PC or a PS4 or PS5 or an Xbox One or Series X, and you're expecting the Switch, which is using technology that was top of the line during the PS3 generation, Xbox 360 generation, then, or actually like the midpoint between the PS3 and the PS4 and the 360 and the Xbox One. Of course, nothing like even and people are like, well, if Nintendo makes a Switch Pro, let me let you in a little secret, okay? Even if Nintendo uses the upgraded Tegra chips for the newer NVIDIA Tegra chips, for the upgrade from what the Switch has now, you're still looking at tech that's like 5 years old, okay? So it's still not going to be on par. I mean, 5 years older than the shit before. So you're still looking at shit that's still not going to be like, it's not going to be what you get on your PC or your console, okay? Get over it.
Funny, I already have.
Like that dude, hashtag get over it, hashtag get over it.
I hashtag deal with it.
So, there you go. Don't get mad, just, go buy another console, shit. If you can afford it, because these consoles are getting kind of up there, but...
Yeah, reason why I know where my money usually goes.
If you can afford it, go get yourself, something. I've always had multiple consoles in my house, at least 2. I never had all 3 at one time, when they were at the height of their powers, because I'm cheap like that. But I'm a cheap bastard. But yeah, I'm cheap. I don't mind being cheap. Some people don't like it, but I save money here and there so I can spend money on other shit I want. But anyway, yeah. Like during the 3rd gen, I only had the NES, and then later on I got the Master System. So then I had the 2. I did not have I didn't get a TurboGrafx 16 until much later. During the 4th gen, I had an SNES. And then later on, I got a Sega Genesis for like $50 with I want to say 8 games that came with it. And then I got a TurboGrafx 16 during the 5th gen for like $20. During the 5th gen, I had an N64, and I never got a PS1. I got a PS2 that was backwards compatible with the PS1. And then after that, I've never owned an Xbox, so I've never owned an Xbox. So 6th gen, I had a GameCube and a PS2, and 7th gen, I had a PS3 and a Wii, and 8th gen, I had a gaming PC and the Wii U. And now I have a Switch, gaming PC, and a PS4. And I might get a PS5. Because it looks like they have better first-party games. Because if you have a Windows-based gaming PC, you have an Xbox. So, you know, with the power of xCloud, you can play those games if you have decent streaming. So, you know, people are like, I don't have an Xbox. You have a Windows PC? Yeah, you have an Xbox. I hate to break that to you. You have an Xbox. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Apparently, there's a fan-made game that's made using the Doom engine, but it's based off of Wolfenstein. So, any game that lets me play as BJ Blazkowicz and shoot the shit out of fascist Nazi pieces of shit, I'm all for it. And the Doom engine, oh, it's great. There's a trailer for it. I shared it in the chat in the feed, and it looks awesome.
Just as it's better, it's way much better than I remember. Wolfenstein being for the time being.
Yeah, Wolfenstein 3D back in the day, we were blown away by it, but it was basic as fuck. You only had 4 weapons.
I was about to say that Wolfenstein 3D was one of the first 3D shooters I actually interacted with.
Me too.
And while it was basic, I mean, come on, 4 guns.
Well, you had 4 weapons. You had 4 weapons, 3 guns, 1 knife. So you had the knife, which sucked. Then you had a pistol. Then you had a machine gun, and then you had a Gatling gun. That's all you had in Wolfenstein. Like, even the enemies had like rocket launchers. I got a Gatling gun, which is cool, but against a rocket launcher, I mean, shit, you know.
I was about to say that if I remember right, only the bosses had those, and God, they were evil.
I mean, in episode 1 of Wolfenstein, the boss had a rocket launcher, but once you got further in, some of the tougher enemies had a fucking rocket launcher. So even the enemies had better shit than you. But, I mean, you are killing Nazis, so, I mean, I guess you could kind of understand why the enemies were kind of overpowered. But at the end of the entire game, unless you got the expansion, you got to kill Hitler. First you got to destroy his robot, and then you got to shoot Hitler himself, and he liquefied into a pile of organs. So, yeah, you know, I mean, you know, like if you grew up watching Indiana Jones 1 or 3, and you instilled a hatred of Nazis, Wolfenstein is for you. If you want to kill Nazis, Wolfenstein is your game. Okay?
Wolfenstein is for you.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you Nazi fuck, what? I remember that scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where he's arguing with his dad, and his dad's like there's this one part where he takes a Tommy gun. He takes a Tommy gun from these Nazi soldiers and guns them down, and his dad's looking at him like, that's really violent. It's like, man, who gives a shit? They're Nazis. I mean, no one should be saying, oh man, that's too harsh for a Nazi. They're Nazis.
Some people are thinking that's overkill.
You know. There's no overkill for Nazis, or there shouldn't be. Like, if I'm watching a movie and someone takes a stick of dynamite, lights it, and shoves it up a Nazi's ass, and it explodes, I'm not gonna feel sorry. I'm like, nah, they're Nazis. Fuck them.
I was gonna say, I don't feel sorry for them, but some people will say, isn't that overkill? And then I can see somebody saying, exactly.
No, it's like Little Nicky. It's like Little Nicky, where Adam Sandler has Hitler in hell, And the devil's like, okay, we gotta shove it. It's like he's looking at his calendar. It's like, I gotta shove a pineapple up Hitler's ass. Hitler, go get your pineapple. And Hitler comes with like a little pineapple. He's like, no, go back there and get a big pineapple. It's like no one should be like, that's too harsh on Nazis. No. No, there's certain groups of people who they get no mercy. If you're a Nazi or a KKK member, a member of the Khmer Rouge, you get no sympathy. I'm sorry. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's this game, Wolfenstein: Blade of Agony. It's basically a fan-made game. It's free, so you can play it. All you need is
Competent software.
no. I don't think you need a lot of hardcore software for it. So that's kind of cool. Next, Stadia's head of product has left Google.
I'm sorry. Every time I hear bad news for Stadia, I'm trying to keep from laughing out loud.
Well, I mean, it's sad because, like, if there ever was okay, like you look at something like Ouya. Ouya had a good idea, but it didn't have the money to pull it off. Okay,
That's the sad thing.
like a lot of these products have good ideas, but they don't have the capital to really sustain it until it becomes a viable thing. Whereas Google has the opposite problem. Stadia was a terrible idea, but they had the money to keep it going until it could have become at least somewhat viable. And they managed to fuck up every single step to that process. Like, oh, let me see, how can I fuck this up? Oh, no, I fucked this up. Oh, I fucked this up too. Oh no. So yeah, it's sad, and now Google's like, well, you can still, like, literally they created a solution to a problem no one was having. I mean, or at least not enough people were having, because I mean, here's the thing: you have Nvidia play. What's Nvidia's streaming gaming service, Kenoshi? Okay then. I think he's off doing something. I'll look it up. Nvidia's streaming service. Nvidia Now, I think it's called, but
Maybe.
no, it's called GeForce Now, right? So
Yeah, I was gonna say it was probably something different.
So GeForce Now exists, right? And you can basically play those games like there are people who want to do that. I don't think it's big enough that enough people want to do it to where it's going to be like a huge thing, but it's cool that people have that option, you know? I mean, Steam has a streaming service for your games, which is kind of cool. So, you know, like, let's say you buy games on Steam and you're in your house and you want to play that game on another product. Like, let's say you're playing a tower defense game and you have a tablet and you want to play that tower defense game while you're over the toilet. You can stream that shit to your tablet and play it like that using the power of your Wi-Fi. That's awesome. That's a nice little Benny for owning the service. But Google's solution to this was just trash. Also, Steam's thing is free, so you know, like, as long as you own the game, you can stream it to wherever the hell you want, which is always a plus. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Okay, Sony is charging Epic for crossplay to protect PSN revenue. They get royalties if too many PlayStation players play those games on other platforms aside from the PlayStation.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah. God dang.
But you know, you can do that when you're the market leader for a platform. Like 8th gen PlayStation, you know, PlayStation was kicking everyone's ass. So there you go.
Yeah. Guess you can get away with stuff like that. Or at
Yeah.
least a little bit.
You know. Some more Epic news. Borderlands 3 exclusivity cost Epic $115 million.
God dang.
Yeah. But that's okay because Fortnite brought in $9 billion. So, some more Google news. 6 more Google Stadia staff members have left, and they've all gone over to Jade Raymond's new studio. So, you know, maybe
Hopefully
she's cooking up
able to make
something.
a game.
No, I mean, everywhere she goes, she gets started, and then the company itself folds, or it either folds, or they're like, we don't have the time. Because here's the thing: in order for you to make a typical AAA game, it takes at least 5 years, right? That's the average, 5 years. Well, everywhere she goes, she gets 2-3 years in, and then they pull the plug on whatever the aegis her project is under. You know what I'm saying?
Hopefully she's not cursed.
So, I mean, it's not her, because she went to EA, and she was like, yeah, EA's like, yeah, we're going to make a game with you. And then they pulled the plug, like, 2-3 years in. And then she went to Google, and they're like, yeah, we're going to make a game. 2-3 years in, they pulled the plug on that shit. And at a certain point, I'm just like, okay, like, you can look at Jade Raymond. She is the architect of Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, so the good Assassin's Creed games that weren't RPGs. She's the architect of those games. So we know she can make good games if she has a competent team under her. But for some reason, no one wants to give her the 5 years to make a fucking game. So, you know, I don't know what's going on. But I'm glad, like, with Google, Google knew that they weren't going to put the money to have first-party games for Stadia. So, if they knew they weren't going to do the shit, why the fuck would they even hire her in the first place? I don't get it.
Probably to rip her off when she gets to a point that's good and she is not budging for some odd reason.
Well, the thing is that they wasted her time, they wasted gamers' time, because like I said, this lady could have been someplace working on something and had something damn near ready to come out this year or next year if she hadn't been fucking around with Google and Stadia. You know what I'm saying? So they wasted her time. And like a whole bunch of developers' times. Like, these people could have been working on other shit. Why are you wasting their time with a product that you guys knew you weren't going to support? But whatever. You know, because here's the thing. I'm a game, like, first and foremost, even though I'm a Nintendo gamer, before I'm a Nintendo gamer, I'm a gamer. And I want to see new games come out that are interesting from talented people. And whether or not you like the Assassin's Creed franchise, you have to admit that Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, and 3, those games, like, I mean, not 3 so much, but 1, 2, and Brotherhood, those people love those games. Okay? Like, you ask most hardcore Assassin's Creed fans, what are the good games? They'll say 2 and Brotherhood are, like, the best games in the series. Jade Raymond made those games. Or, I mean, yeah. She, not personally, but she was like the producer over them. So she helped, you know, put everything together. So, yeah. I mean, like, she could have been making something awesome, and Google wasted her fucking time on some bullshit they were not going to support. And that's not cool. You know, people wasting your time on some bullshit is not cool. And that's what Google did. So because of that, you know, like, I'm like, y'all could have been doing something else. Like, why waste people's time with this shit? Anyway, that's my opinion. Anything you guys want to add before we move on to the next topic?
I was going to say, isn't there more Google news?
Well, I put something in the feed, but it was just the same story from earlier with the dude except they added, it was the vice president. So I'm guessing Phil Harrison will eventually leave as well because, I mean, why the fuck do they need Phil Harrison? Yeah, that piece of shit wasted those people. Yeah, you guys are doing great work. Yeah, everything's ready. Okay, yeah, shut it all down. It's like, you two-faced motherfucker. Anyway, Blizzard is losing millions of players across all of its games, but the revenues are still increasing.
And I bet it's because of layoff.
Well, no. It's because the more casual players are leaving to play other shit, and only the most hardcore people are remaining. The people in Wales, people who spend money on a lot of that shit. This is not good. They should be making new IPs
I
to
was about
get
to
new.
say, doesn't that mean that the whales are gonna eat each other up?
No, no. Whale is a term that casinos use because really, like, your average gambler is gonna spend maybe 50 to 200 to $300 and then quit. Whales
Yeah, that's how I
spend
was saying that
tens of
if you have a
thousands, hundreds of thousands of
yeah
dollars, and those are the people who are making a lot. Those are the big spenders for those microtransactions and shit like that. Those are the people who are making money. But the problem is that it's better for you to have a varied uh, base
varied
of
pool.
people. Yeah, a varied
Yeah.
pool of people, and not just a few. So when you see a lot of people leaving a pool of gamers, but the revenues are going up, that just means that the people who are willing to spend are like they're finding new ways to monetize those people. They're finding new microtransactions to get them to spend money. That's not because more people are coming in, and that's not good for Blizzard. It's an
Yeah.
unsustainable model because eventually those people who are spending all that money are going to be like, no. And once they start leaving, you're going to see their revenues dipping because you can only get so much money out of people at a certain time. Eventually, they're going to get tired of it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's how I was going to say that if you only got whales in your game, then the whales are going to start burning each other out, and well, it's only a matter of time before they leave.
Yeah, eventually people are going to get tired of it. It's like, man, I'm getting tired of spending all this money. But anyway, that's my own personal opinion. I could, in fact, be wrong. Let's keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. Next story. Biomutant comes out May 25th, and it looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, I remember I saw a commercial for it, and it was beeping pretty as f.
This game is made by the people who made Just Cause 2 and 3, or is it 3 and 4? So,
What's it called?
Biomutant. It was supposed to come out last year, but COVID-19 happened, and the developers we went quiet, and Nordic Games gave us the money. THQ Nordic Games gave us the money to basically polish the game. So hopefully, as long as this game comes out and it's going to be really fucking polished. Knock on wood. I don't know if that's true, but hopefully it will. It looks really awesome. I mean, any game that lets you play as a cute anthropomorphic Finnick fox type thing with guns and weapons and mechs. I mean, it seems like this game has a lot of little disparate things that if they come together in a cohesive enough manner, this could be awesome. And I hope it is, because, I want shit to be good. RPG news, Pathfinder. Wrath of the Righteous.
I was gonna say the company that fights Dungeons and Dragons. They came out with something new.
Well, no. Pathfinder. There was a game from Owl Games called Pathfinder Kingmaker, which was basically kind of like a love letter to Baldur's Gate, except instead of using the D&D tropes, it used Pathfinder tropes, which I personally found to be much better because D&D is too rigid with its with some of its structures too much. Well, with some of its gameplay systems too much. Pathfinder gives you a little bit more wiggle room for a lot of shit. So one of the cool things about Pathfinder Kingmaker was just how nuanced a lot of the character builds were and stuff like that. Well, they're making a sequel to Kingmaker because apparently it sold gangbusters called Wrath of the Righteous, where you get to basically become a god-touched champion and fight demons and shit, which is cool. And apparently one of the things is that you can become an angel and ride a velociraptor in the battle, which is cool.
I was gonna say that sounds like an over-the-top pitch me the idea.
Well, I mean, it's Pathfinder. If you've played Pathfinder, you know Pathfinder is off the chain sometimes, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been a while since I played Pathfinder, and that's so over the top and yet fun.
Yeah, Pathfinder does things like you can have a good aligned goblin in Pathfinder, and it's not weird. It's like, oh, you're the exception to the rule because people are people in Pathfinder, and there's good people and there's bad people. You can have a necromancer that's a good guy, doing quests and shit. It's just, hey, you better not cast heal on him. That hurts him. You gotta heal him with necromantic energy. So Pathfinder, I like. Finally, Humble Bundle says, sorry, they're bringing back charity sliders. I don't know why they ever took them away.
Makes me wonder what happened.
I don't know what happened. I like Humble Bundle because I like buying games and giving to charity at the same time. I like having the charity slider because then I can choose who gets the money. Because sometimes I'll buy shit and I'm like, I'm not giving that shit to... I don't want that shit going to some asshole, you know?
Yeah.
You can give you can give however much you want to give to any charity. For example, right? Like right now I clicked on the Lego Built to bundle, right? And pay $1, you get Lego Ninjago. Now, no one liked Ninjago. I don't know why Lego made that shit, because no one gave a shit about Ninjago. Then Lego Worlds, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 Deluxe Edition, meh. Lego Marvel Avengers, not that good. Lego Batman 2, that's pretty good. Then you pay $10 or more, you can get Lego DC Supervillains Deluxe Edition or Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham Premium Edition. $10! And the charity is water. They help people get water. Clean water.
Wrong with that?
Yeah, clean water. But, you know, I would prefer to give most of that money to the charity. So if I bought this for $10 to get everything, I'd want like 9 of that to go to the charity. I don't want to give, you know, Traveler's Tales, those people make enough money. Okay? Anyway, so I don't know why they got rid of charity sliders. This goes out in a day. I might buy this. I'll wait.
What charity is it?
It's the water charity.
What's in the game bundle this time around?
Well, it was the Lego bundle, and you don't get the really good Lego games, but you do get some Batman Lego games, which are always good. The first Lego Batman, I wasn't that crazy about, but Lego Batman 2 is awesome. Like the moment in Lego Batman 2 where you can fucking unlock where you finally get Superman and you just basically go flying around as Superman with the John Williams Superman theme playing. It's awesome. I mean, it's sad when Lego Superman is better than Henry Cavill. That's embarrassing.
Enough said.
It's true though. But anyway. So those are all the news stories. Anything you guys want to bring up before we move on to unpopular opinions and then wrap things up? Nothing.
I think we're all good.
All right. Well, I have 2 unpopular opinions. One is video game related. The other one is not. My video game related one goes first. I am tired of Souls-like difficulty being used to make hard-ass games. Okay? Like, I'm tired. Like, I don't have time to play hard-ass games all the time. All right? And
we don't want super simple, but we do not want to be as hard.
I don't want ball-crushingly difficult. I don't want ball-crushingly difficult games, all right?
Yeah.
Okay? I don't want to play games that are so hard that they're just not fun, you know? Turn 10 Studios, the studio that's making the next Forza, the next Fable game, is going to be making it using the Forza engine to make it. So, I'm a bit worried.
I don't
Breaking
blame you
news.
for that.
Anyway, yeah, I'm tired of Souls-like difficulty in games. I'm tired of people. It's Souls-like. It's a Souls-like game. Look, can't you people come like the Dark Souls games aren't that good? Yeah, there's a niche of people who really like them, but they aren't really all that good. So why the fuck do you keep on trying to make everything like that? Like I don't get that. Like personally, I don't want to play a game that's so hard that I'm throwing my controller across the room. I had enough of that shit during the NES and SNES years. I don't want more of it now.
Yeah.
So y'all need to stop that shit. My other unpopular opinion is about a particular style that I'm tired of, and I wish dudes would stop doing it. Man bun.
Man buns?
Yeah.
Oh no, I remember those.
Dudes with man buns. Stop it. Okay? Fucking stop it. Alright? It's
I
annoying.
had to wonder about those people.
It's annoying and no one is impressed. Hey, I got a man bun. No one gives a shit. Alright? The only thing worse than dudes with man buns is dudes with man buns who fucking have a glorious, long, full beard. Come on, man.
What
Okay?
the fudge?
Either have a cool beard or wear your hair long. You can't have it both ways. Okay? Dude, stop it. Anyway, those are my opinions. I know some people are gonna get mad at me when they hear that. I don't really care.
I had to wonder where one of those came from.
I don't like man buns. Whenever I see a dude with a man bun, I get mad. Here's an addendum, okay? The only thing worse than a man bun is seeing black dudes who the front of their head is receding, but the back is dreadlocks. Come on, man. Look,
Yeah.
if you're going bald up front, just because you grow that shit in the back ain't gonna change the fact you going bald. It's gonna look ridiculous after a while. Stop it. Unless you're gonna join the hair club for men, where they're gonna take some of that shit from the back and put it up front to restore your hairline. If that ain't happening, stop it, okay? Because it just looks bad. You look like a fucking Yautja from Predator, okay?
Okay, now you just got me laughing.
Okay, with the dreads and shit. It's like, come on, man, you're bald. Just give it up. Just look, man. Look, as black dudes, most of us look really good when we go for the close fade because we're losing our hair. It's not that bad. But don't sit there and like hold on for dear life to the back and have the shit just leaving. You know, your front hairline is receding like a pro basketball player making a three. and you're just like, yeah, man, I'm gonna grow this shit in the back. Cause no, it's not. Stop it. People will see you from behind and be like, oh, that's some cool dreads. Then your ass is gonna turn around and they're gonna see that shit recede in the front and be like, God damn. And that's all that's gonna happen. An addendum to that one is, and this is for white guys. Look, like, I know it's hard for white guys to shave all their hair off when they're losing their hair because they look like skinheads, and no one wants to look like a skinhead. But if you guys are losing your hair in the front, don't grow the shit in the back and put a ponytail back there. It looks ridiculous. Come on, man. Just accept that you're bald and call it a day. Look, some women like bald men. Some bald men, they get tons of play being bald. Look at Telly Savalas. He was a known womanizer. He got tons of women bald-headed. Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, bald-headed. And it's okay. It's okay that he's bald-headed. You know, I remember watching Star Trek, and he was bald, and it was okay. I mean, my favorite Star Trek captain of all time, Benjamin Sisko, bald-headed. Bald, like completely black guy, bald, and but the shit looks good on him because he's a black guy. But black guys being bald, they can pull that shit off. Anyway, that's it. That's all I want to say. Any other unpopular opinions you guys want to share? Could be gaming related, could be video game related. I don't care. I mean, could be life related.
I don't really like random battles. I think if we all decided those can go away, I would not be mad about it.
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna say this right now. You have to be on shrooms for that line.
Here's
to a degree.
Here's what I'll say. I think that
I mean, I know why they did it in the old days. It's because they just didn't have enough juice to have a bunch of characters on screen at once. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's not a huge deal.
It's not a make or break, but it's just annoying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think it depends on how it's handled. Like if your encounter rate is so high that I'm taking like 3-4 steps and getting into another encounter, then your random battles are too much. And I remember playing SNES games back in the day where there were certain areas where the encounter rate was so fucking high that it was like, this is a chore. Yeah, this is a chore. I do think that random battle, when it's handled well, could be awesome. Like if you play a game like Radiant Historia or the old Tales games like Tales of Fantasia, random battles were handled relatively well.
Most of those battles that were random, they had somebody that was representing the monsters that you fight out in the open.
The later ones, the ones on the PlayStation and the game, the 5th and 6th gen ones, but the original one, the one on the the 4th generation one, Tales of Fantasia, had random battles. But they basically, because combat in Tales of Fantasia,
because I wasn't sure if I could recall how Radiant Historia handled it. That's why.
Radiant Historia had a mix because there were some areas where you'd run into enemies and there were some areas where there were random battles. So it was kind of like, no, you didn't have random battles in Radiant Historia. You had enemy sprites on screen and you could hit them with your weapon and that would basically stun them and you could get a free hit in. So I take that back. But you know, some games can handle random battles well. Like Golden Sun kind of handled random battles well. You know, it just depends on how it's handled.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much like, you know, it's a bad thing. But
if the game could give you an option to find a way to get rid of those random battles to a degree, then all the better.
I mean, I think they should have a slider where it's like you can choose to have more random battles or less random battles.
Kind of like Bravely Default.
That's what Bravely Default do. Yeah.
Well, a lot of games are adding that now.
Which is a good idea if you want to grind quickly, and or if you just want to get to the next story beat quickly.
Yeah. So that's my own personal opinion. Like, I think you should have the choice, but I don't think they should go away because not all games lend themselves to having enemies just, you know, just rolling up on you any place, you know.
Yeah.
But do you have an unpopular opinion you want to share before we wrap this up?
Let's see. I probably got an unpopular opinion about about sports games and an unpopular opinion about basically something else. For games, I feel it's unpopular to say that basically the the most famous sports games should be baseball, should be basketball and football. I mean, sure that we got soccer, but there's at least a few other sports that we try to use to promote to play for others. We don't we don't need football, American or European, and we don't need basketball to be the only ones that sell and everybody recognize them.
All right.
I mean, when's the last time you saw a baseball sports game?
Um. Well, I mean, there's been ones on PC. Um, Backyard Baseball, Super Backyard Baseball. That's a really popular series. It's kind of more arcadey.
Kid-friendly?
It's more arcade. It's not really kid friendly. The art style is kid friendly, but you play it, it's like, oh, this is actually a kind of deep game. I used to be a huge fan of what's it called? Kunio-kun, Power Pro-kun baseball made by Konami, because it used super deformed
Characters?
super deformed characters, but it was like an RPG combined with a traditional baseball game, and I liked it. I played it on the Wii, on the PS2, and then they stopped bringing them over here, so then it just kind of got stupid.
Kind of sad, really.
Well, I mean, Konami's like that. Like, Konami will have a good franchise and will sit on it and not do shit with it. Like a storied RPG series. Like, hey, no Suikoden anymore because of reasons.
Yeah, and that gets into the other unpopular opinion, which is kind of into games, but kind of is a different section. I'm sick and tired of Bushiroad. As far as at least one of their card games, I'm wondering if they're ever going to take the hint that they screwed up badly already. A little bit of context. One of their games where it's getting kind of heavy-handed in a sense, with releasing nearly one new booster a month for their game, and now they went down to about five groups every 3 to 4 months, and they basically rebooted their game.
Fair enough. So that's everyone done. Then I'm going to wrap things up. Anyone have anything else they want to add before we wrap things up? Any other thing we're like, man, I gotta talk about this. It's fucked up. Nothing?
I think we could save that for Saturday.
All right. That's the end of the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. And